Good morning, everyone. I'm Jennifer Swarbrick from the Biotechnology and Biological Sciences Research Council, which is part of UK Research and Innovation. So I'd like to welcome you all to day 2 of the UK Greenhouse Gas Removal event. So I hope those attended day 1 enjoyed themselves, including the excellent public engagement event we had in the evening, Greenhouse Gas Removal, Getting It Right for People and Planet, which explored key questions around how the technology can be pursued and how people can have a say as well. So before we move on to day 2, today's agenda, I have a few bits of housekeeping to run through. So just so you all know, there is a cloakroom, toilets and a water fountain, all on the lower ground floor. And there's also a first aid room there as well, should you need it. The fire assembly point is located outside Somerset House on the Victoria Embankment Street underneath Waterloo Bridge. So Wi-Fi login details are on the agenda at the other end, and there are also signs around the event which tell you what the login details are as well. And also I'd like to encourage everybody who has an active Twitter account to tweet about the event. The hashtag is UK GGR Event. And also, we will be doing questions via Slido throughout the event, because we also have an online presence as well. So please log into the Slido to add your question and answers. And I'll also encourage the online audience to use the chat box as well to introduce yourselves to each other. We'll be circulating a diversity monitoring form, which is on the online platform and will also be emailed to all people here today, which I'd like to encourage you all to fill in. And now we'll just move on to the agenda. So first I'd like to introduce Dr. Lizzie Garrett, who is Head of Atmospheric and Polar at the Natural Environment Research Council.
Hi everyone, as Jen said, for those that didn't meet me yesterday, I'm Lizzie Garrett, Head of Atmospheric and Polar at the Natural Environment Research Council, which is part of UK Research and Innovation. I've just been asked to say a few lines at the beginning in place of Baroness Worthington, who wasn't able to attend. It's not every day that I get asked to step in for a Baroness, so that's quite exciting. But for anyone not aware, UKRI is a non-departmental public body sponsored by the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy base. Our organisation is made up of the 7 disciplinary research councils, Research England and Innovate UK, and UKRI are the UK's largest public funder of research and innovation. So I'm responsible for the Greenhouse Gas Removal from the Atmosphere, or GGR-A programme, and also the Greenhouse Gas Removal Demonstrators, or GGR-D programme. Yesterday was a backwards look at the successes and lessons for the GGR-A programme. For those that weren't here yesterday, it was a really interesting day. So thanks to all of those who organised and contributed to that. Today is more of a forward look at the GGR-D programme. So GGR-D is supported by UKRI's Strategic Priorities Fund. So, I mean, it's a major multi and interdisciplinary effort. It's actually delivered in partnership across UKRI, across the council. So, and that includes partnership from NERC, where I'm from BBSRC, where Jen's from, AHRC, ESRC, EPSRC, and Innovate UK. So, really quite a diverse group of partners there. SPF investments are specifically aligned with government research and innovation priorities, and GGR-D's lead sponsor is BEIS, but also with strong support from DEFRA. And GGR-D actually makes up a key part of the government's £100 million investment in R&D for greenhouse gas removal, alongside the BEIS pre-commercial competition for direct air capture and other greenhouse gas removals. So today's set to be an interesting day of plenary presentations and panel discussions, but I also wanted to let you know about the Innovation Showcase. So I'd encourage you to all visit these project stands as part of this during the various sessions during the day. It's spread over the 4 ground floor rooms in the same place that lunch and tea breaks will be. It exhibits 34 new projects that are demonstrating approaches to GGR across the UK. They are testing out a variety of methods in the real world, helping to shape the UK's path to tackle climate change and reach net zero. So it includes the projects funded by the BEIS Direct Air Capture and GGR competition, the 5 GGR-D Demonstrators projects and the core hub, as well as some elements for the core hub through the Pathfinders projects, and Natural England and Partners and Carbon Community projects too. So it's a chance to speak to team members directly involved in projects, so please do take the opportunity to get round and have a look at those if you can. That's all I was going to say, so I'll just hand back to Jen now.
Thank you, Lizzie. So next we've got Cameron Hepburn, straight from the Australian outback. And you are going to hear from, so Cameron is Director of the Smith School of Enterprise and Environment at the University of Oxford, and also PI for the Core House Greenhouse Gas Removal Hub.
Thank you very much, Jen. I am actually from the Australian outback in the sense that I grew up there, but the accent's kind of faded a bit. Anyway, so yes, I'm the director of the Smith School at Oxford and the PI of the Core Hub. And welcome. We're really delighted to have you all here today. This is about sharing what's happened in the past. Yesterday, looking forwards today. We've got a set of interesting talks and panel discussions coming. I wanted to just, so I did a little bit of framing yesterday, and what we heard was that this is an industry that's going from kind of virtually zero, not quite zero, some really great things happening, but it's very small now compared to where it needs to be. And that scaling up process is going to be probably pretty bumpy. It's going to be pretty exciting. It's kind of going to be huge in a capital market sense and an investment sense, but we need to make sure it's done equitably, sustainably, that we have an eye on the complexity of these systems, that we're not just sorting climate, but we're managing to deal with a bunch of other environmental and social problems at the same time. So it's a kind of non-trivial exercise that we're all engaged in here, building an industry, and doing so in a global context where other countries have recognized that this has to happen, will be a big opportunity. We'll hear from them later in the day. And so there's a bit of kind of co-opetition going on here. We have to compete, but we have to cooperate too, because actually ultimately whether we succeed or fail is important for humanity. Now, I wanted to just, I mean, I'm really a warm-up act, in a sense, today. We'll have a little poll in a moment. But I just want to say something about the capital flows side of things. Those of you working in this space will probably be starting to get the sense that there is an awful lot of interest from the financial community in this space, and that's as it needs to be. The big banks are coming in, the institutional investors are starting to play. We'll have a session later on who's investing and why. And perhaps a good example of this is Bank of America has just announced a partnership, a gift to Oxford to work with Steve and the Core Hub team and on sustainable finance of £1.2 million. We're very thankful to Julian Mychrist and his team. And it's this sort of action from the private sector that we'll be seeing more and more of, I suspect, and we need to see more of. I just want to say something about the panels, because I'm very, I mean, I'm an observer, but I'm excited about what we're going to find out from them, I hope. So we've got 4 of them. Akshat Bhatti from Bloomberg on the policy side of things. Tom, who we heard from the Carbon Removal Show, on making sure that we get these multiple dimensions met. Daisy Dunn from Carbon Brief, moderating a session on the international dimension with really great people, actually, from the States, US, and Hong Kong. And then Polita Clark from the FT on the investment side of the story. So hopefully the hub is going to leave you with a bit of a sense of the multifaceted dimension of this scale-up process. Now, we have a poll. Now, if you've got your phone at the ready, you can jump on Slido. And there's a code there that you have to enter in. What's it say? 099169. And I'm kind of interested to see what this is going to reveal for us. So our question, which I can't actually read, I'm getting too old, but I mean, I know what it is. It's about which of the approaches is going to be the biggest, roughly, by 2050. And so you're typing your, yeah, great. So we've got Bex, got trees, I see. Does that say Paul? Okay, Paul, well done. So the idea, Paul, was that you put in a greenhouse gas removal technology, not your name, but that's okay. I might get out my phone and put in Cameron and see if maybe everybody could pile in on that one. And this is fascinating. Afforestation, Bex. Dax is kind of languishing in 4th place. Biochar's coming up fast. This is quite exciting. I don't think I should try for a second job as a sports commentator, but it's quite interesting. Goodness, Paul has made a late run. Well, suffice to say, you'll perhaps be relieved to know that we won't use this as the basis of any academic study or funding allocations as we think about how to scale up this space. But it's a little bit of fun. So I'm going to hand back to Jen. We've got some great keynotes with Mark, Gideon, and Steve coming up before our first panel. So thank you very much, welcome, and enjoy the day. Thank you.